Now, David Gasper.
As mentioned, I am a serial software entrepreneur, not to be confused with serial killer. Now, we don't think of entrepreneurs in that way. In today's society, we think of entrepreneurs with awe, as cultural icons, and even as job creators. Well, let me tell you, when I started my journey to become an entrepreneur, I didn't have aspirations of becoming a wealthy business tycoon. I started my business for only one reason. I was the world's worst employee. And I've stuck with that label ever since. I had some great advice when I started my first software company. I wanted to fill out listings that I was going to give to a computer manufacturer that they would then distribute product information to their customers and all their salespeople. This is a great way to get a word out. So I filled out the forms, and I turned it in the Alliance Manager, and I was shocked. The size of the directory of all the companies who had software that were running on these computer platforms was the size of a New York City telephone book. How could I tell who the good companies were from the bad companies or the average companies? So I asked the Alliance Manager, how do you know where the great companies are? He gave me some sage advice. He said, look, there are software companies like yourself that they have a great product and they do a poor job of marketing. And they struggle, they don't do as well. But there are other companies that have a good product and they do a great job of marketing and they do very, very well. So it reinforced to me a lesson that I continually learned over and over is the number one thing that entrepreneurs need are customers. We need customers more than anything else. Sounds pretty basic, right? Except that too many of us entrepreneurs are so internally focused, we don't think and act like our customers. And that's what we need to do more of. Let me give you a couple examples. Years later, I was asked to invest in a startup company by this entrepreneur who thought he had an ideal solution to a problem of dirty public toilet seats worldwide. So what he did was he invented a portable personal toilet seat that you could carry everywhere with you. He showed me a photo that looked something like this. It was a young, attractive model with a leather bag, shoulder length, carrying her personal toilet seat through an airport, getting ready to board an airplane. Needless to say, I didn't think that was a great investment, but he was so convinced that everyone would think like him that this was going to be a great idea. Really glad I passed on that investment. Now, a personal aha moment for me was when I was in New York. I was visiting one of our largest customers, a bank in New York. And I'm waiting for this meeting, and I'm really excited. I'm sitting in a waiting room, and I'm looking in front of me, and here's this bookshelf full of all the software manuals of our products that we deliver to this customer. And these are 3-ring binders, and we have embossed on the labels of these the name of the product that we had branded for our company. And so I was really excited, but then I noticed, I looked carefully, and something bothered me. The customer hated the product name. So they went to great lengths to create a different name, one they preferred, and they ran it over every single binder and put their name on top of our name. And the name they used was GASPAR. These bankers were really, really smart because they knew that's how my grandparents spelled the family name 100 years ago before they even came to America. These guys are really sharp. So I was struck how they hated that name and they wanted to use a different one instead. So the next day I flew back here to Dayton and I brought our management team together and I said, we've got to change the name of our products. We've got to go with what our customers like. And that's what we ended up doing. Now we also compromised as well, though. We used the anglicized, the American version of that. And it really paid off for us because it bonded us, it got closer to customers and helped us understand where their thinking was, and it created less friction between us. So it's very, very important to be able to have that close to customers. Now, I hear a lot of you might be thinking, hey, look, we're always close to customers. We do things like customer surveys. Well, let me tell you about customer surveys. Every time I fly my favorite airline, they send me an email. And an email says, please fill out one of these surveys, but no complaints, please. This is not a forum for complaints. Really. If you go to a restaurant or a retail location, how often have you ever handled a survey and the salesperson or the server says, hey, please fill out the survey, give me only 9s and 10s, because if you don't, I'm going to lose my job. Now, if I go for an oil change, I am asked to fill out a survey, and they're asking me to fill out a survey. How was that oil change? Was it life-altering? Was it spectacular, incredible, outstanding? Wait a minute, I just want an oil change. It's not the 4th of July fireworks that we see downtown here. So even when we do things like surveys, we still retain that personal bias that we have, and we're not thinking and acting like our customers nearly enough. Now, it's important to get close to customers, but it's also to follow some great advice by Wayne Gretzky, the hockey player. Wayne said, you need to skate to where the puck is going to be, not where the puck is now. So think about that a little bit, because your customers, more often than not, are going to tell you where the puck is right now. They're not going to tell you where the puck is. That's still up to you to be able to do that. Just like Gary Klein talked about earlier this morning, the inspiration is still your job. You still have to do that, but you still have to listen to your customers. So think about it. We would still be riding around on horses with more comfortable saddles if Henry Ford had listened to his customers, because that's what they wanted, was more comfortable saddles on their horses. If Steve Jobs had listened to his customers, we'd have BlackBerries with much better keyboards instead of the iPhone. So entrepreneurs often ask me, how can I double my business? And what I explain is the best way to do it is start using this customer-oriented focus and start allocating more of your workday, your work week to that. Take 15% more of your time thinking and acting like customers. Take off your sales hat. Get out from behind your office, spend time with customers, and start to understand their issues, their problem, and their lives. And if you do that, you can double your business. So if you have $1 million business, you can use this simple formula to calculate how long it's going to take for you to double your business if you grow at just this 15% rate. So if you grow at 15%, divide by the rule of 72, and you're going to double your business, you'll be a $2 million business in less than 5 years. Now, what if you really took this to a large extent and went even further and said, I'm going to spend 30% of my time growing my business by being much more customer focused, learning more from my customers? You can double your business in a little over 2 years. So think about how that can happen. So the advice that I give to entrepreneurs is spend time with customers, try to understand them as much as possible. So if you're a software company, like the ones that I've always run, we try and get out and we try and have everybody visit our software customers. And not just learn how our software works, but learn their entire issues that they run into. And we did that with every organization. Now, if you're a 3D manufacturing company, 3D is really becoming very popular, 3D printing. Instead of just making the part for your customer who asks for it, go find out what that part is doing. See the big picture. Try to understand the business of your customer. And when you do that, you'll be surprised at how much more you're going to have come your way if you spend more time just to understand your customer. If you're a restaurant owner, have dinner with your customers. Sit with them and have dinner, but don't try and sell them on the benefits of your great desserts, etc. Spend time observing, watching, seeing how they behave, and then even go to another restaurant with them and see how they react. Learning more about your customers can tell you so much more about how to become a very, very successful entrepreneur. And this doesn't just apply to businesses. I serve on a charter school here in Dayton. And one of the innovative things this charter school does is all the teachers who mentor and advise students must go to their students' home before they ever attend their first class. What do you think they learn by that home visit? They learn something that's very obvious. And that is, the home environment has as much impact on the educational experience as it does in the classroom. So reaching out and being with your customers, you learn so much more. You know, I talked about the airline. Just think about what it would be like if that airline executives would fly coach 2 or 3 times a month. Think of how much more they would learn than the surveys they asked me to complete that I'm not allowed to complain about. They would learn a significant amount of that. So take all these lessons and think about what could happen here in Dayton. Because in Dayton, you know, we've had a long history of entrepreneurs, inventors, great engineers, great manufacturing. And today, we need to grow our economy more. So what would happen if all of our businesses here in Dayton started taking this 15% approach, started saying, let's spend 15% of our energy, of our time, understanding our customers, not just the ones here in Dayton, but understanding our customers globally. What do you think that would do to our economy here? My guess is we would double our economy, double the wealth, double the jobs here in Dayton in less than 5 years. Now, I've got a dilemma here, because I give all this advice about you need to spend time with the customers, you need to understand your customers very, very well. Well, the dilemma I have is my daughter is following in my footsteps. She's an entrepreneur. She's an artist who's opened up a studio. She and another artist have created special type of coffee mugs that allow you to enjoy coffee. And for those states where marijuana is legal, you can enjoy your marijuana at the same time with the same coffee mug. She's selling these things like crazy. But I'm trying to think about, now, how am I going to pass this advice on to my daughter very, very carefully? I'm not sure where to exactly go with this. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time today.